Good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to be reading The Crindle Cracks by Philip Ridley. The back of the book, the blurb, says this. It was the day for choosing a hero. Ruskin Splinter is a small and thin boy. The idea of him battling a dragon in the school play makes the whole class laugh. But beneath the dark bricks and cracked pavements of Lizard Street lurks the mysterious Crindlecracks. And when Crindlecracks threatens Lizard Street, Ruskin has the chance to prove he really is the stuff heroes are made of. So, chapter 1. It was the day for choosing a hero. All the week before, Ruskin Splinter's school, St George's, had been casting its end-of-year play and only the role of hero remained. Ruskin wanted to play this part more than anything. I was born to be a hero, he had told his teacher, Mr Lace. Don't you think so? I'm not sure, Mr Lace had replied, sucking a pencil. We'll decide next Monday. And now it was the day for deciding. As soon as Ruskin woke up, he stared at the photographs of famous actors that were stuck on his walls. Ruskin wanted to be a famous actor when he grew up, and he started rehearsing lines from the play. I am brave and wise and wonderful, Ruskin said, getting dressed and going to the bathroom to clean his teeth. He looked at his reflection in the mirror above the sink. What a hero you are, he said to himself, the toothpaste frothing in his mouth. Ruskin was 11 years old, extremely thin, with a bush of frizzy red hair. He wore green shorts that showed off his knobbly knees, green lace-up shoes that were too big for him. You'll grow into them, his mum had told him, and striped, green and white, t-shirts that made his arms look like twigs, and glasses with lenses so thick his eyes appeared the size of saucers. When Ruskin had cleaned his teeth, he looked out of the bathroom window. Good morning, Lizard Street, he said in a squeaky whisper of a voice. Ruskin always said good morning to the street. He loved the dark brick of the houses, the cracked pavements, and the cobbled road with its bumps and holes. At the other end of Lizard Street, Ruskin could see his school, St George's. The school had turrets and was surrounded by iron railings with spikes on top. The school was so old that Ruskin's mum, Wendy, had gone there when she was a girl. One day, Ruskin said, I'll be the hero of Lizard Street. There's a picture of Ruskin. Ruskin washed his face and hands, then went downstairs to the kitchen. His mum was sitting at the table, an electric toaster on one side of her, an electric kettle on the other, pouring endless cups of tea. Kiss, Wendy said when she saw Ruskin. Ruskin kissed her cheek. Tea? She asked. Yes, please, Ruskin replied. Toast? Yes, please. Every morning, Wendy said kiss, followed by tea, then toast. And every morning, Ruskin kissed his mum's cheek and said yes, please, to both questions. Ruskin's mum was very small, extremely thin, with a bush of frizzy red hair. She wore a green nightdress that showed off her knobbly knees, fluffy green slippers that made her feet look too big, a green dressing gown that made her arms look like twigs, and glasses with lenses so thick her eyes appeared the size of saucers. It's another hot day, Wendy sighed, pouring Ruskin his tea. We haven't had any rain for weeks now. I've never known a summer like it. Poor Mr. Lacey's window boxes are withering away. It's so hot my glasses keep steaming up. Polly Wolly doodle all the day. Whenever Wendy got flustered, she said, Polly Wolly doodle all the day. Once, for example, she had no bread to make toast and really panicked. She ran round the house crying, No toast with our tea, Polly Wolly doodle all the day. What shall we do? Toastless tea, Polly Wolly doodle all the day. It was left to Ruskin to go to Mrs. Walnut's shop and buy a loaf. Since then, Ruskin's house has always been well stocked with bread and tea bags because that's another thing Wendy can't live without. Some of the bread turns green and mouldy and has to be thrown away, but at least they are never without their buttery slices of toast and marmalade, or toast and baked beans, or toast and scrambled eggs, or poached eggs or fried eggs. Ruskin looked at his mum as she prepared his breakfast. If you're so hot, Ruskin told her, you should take your slippers off. Wendy looked at Ruskin, shocked. Take my slippers off, she gasped, spreading marmalade on his toast. Don't be silly. I wouldn't feel dressed without my slippers on. What if we had a visitor and I opened the door in my bare feet? They'd see my toenails and the soles of my feet. Oh, what a thought, Ruskin. It makes me say Polly Wolly Doodle all the day, just thinking of it. But we never have any visitors, Ruskin remarked. No one ever knocks on our door. Wendy put fresh slices of bread into the toaster. What about Sparky? She asked. I'm not friends with Sparky anymore, Ruskin replied. You know that. Oh, it's too early for arguments, Wendy muttered. Just eat your toast. Ruskin nibbled his toast, mumbling. I am brave and wise and wonderful and handsome and tall and covered in muscles with a voice like thunder. Excuse me, Wendy interrupted, but what's that you're twittering on about? It's the hero's speech, Ruskin explained, from the play we're doing at school. I've been telling you about it for weeks, remember? No. Mr. Lace found the play buried in his back garden. Remember? No. But it's all I've been talking about. Every breakfast, every tea time. Well, why don't you tell me again and see if it rings any bells? Ruskin took a deep breath and began. The play's about a village that's being pestered by a dragon. The dragon lives in a cave, and every night it comes out and digs up the pathways and burns the farmers' vegetables and cracks planks of wood. Until one night, a boy does battle with the dragon and throws a golden penny into its mouth. And Ruskin was just about to add that the village in the story was supposed to have been on the same site as Lizard Street is now. That's why the street is called Lizard Street in the first place. And why the pub at the end of the street is called the Dragon and the Golden Penny. But he didn't have a chance because his mum interrupted again. And you want to be the hero? She asked. That's right, Ruskin replied. Let me hear the speech again. Ruskin took a sip of tea, coughed to clear the crumbs of toast from his throat, then began. I am brave and wise and wonderful and handsome and tall and covered in muscles with a voice like thunder. I don't want to interrupt again, Wendy said, interrupting again. But can I just say something? You have to, Ruskin said irritably. Well, I'm not sure you're perfectly suited for the part, dear. What do you mean? Well, just listen to what you're saying, Wendy told him, biting into a slice of her toast. I mean, I'm sure you are brave and wise and wonderful, but I'm not sure you can pass for the other things. Be specific, Mum, Ruskin demanded. Specifically, then, Wendy said, you are not handsome. You are not tall. You are not covered in muscles. And you have not got a voice like thunder. In fact, your voice is such a squeaky whisper that even I find it hard to hear you sometimes. At that moment, Ruskin's dad, Winston, came down for breakfast. Wendy said, Kiss. Winston kissed her cheek. Tea? Wendy asked. Yes, please. Winston replied, sighing. Toast? Yes, please, he replied, sitting at the table. Winston was small, extremely thin, with balding, frizzing red hair. He wore pajama bottoms, green and white striped, with holes showing off his knobbly knees, woolly socks, green, that made his feet look furry, a sleeveless vest that made his arms look like twigs, and glasses with lenses so thick his eyes appeared the size of saucers. Wendy put some more bread in the toaster and poured Winston a cup of tea. Then she told him about the part Ruskin wanted in the school play. What does the hero look like? Winston asked. Handsome, Wendy informed him. But Ruskin's not handsome, Winston said. He's the silliest looking boy in Lizard Street. And tall, Wendy informed him. But Ruskin's not tall, Winston said. He's the smallest boy in Lizard Street. And covered in muscles. But Ruskin hasn't got any muscles anywhere, Winston said. And with a voice like thunder, Wendy finished. But Ruskin's voice is just a squeaky whisper, Winston remarked. Then, looking at his son, he continued, You can't possibly play the hero. People will laugh at you. The toast popped out of the toaster. Wendy put some more bread in, then buttered the toast. But I want to be a hero, Ruskin said. We all might want to be heroes, Winston said, but we all are not. You know my motto, don't interfere. Heroes have to do a lot of interfering. You know your trouble, Ruskin said, pointing at his dad. Low self-image. Suddenly, there was a loud crash. The kitchen window smashed. The football landed on a table right in the middle of toast. Scrunch. Right, that's the end of chapter 2, and we will read chapter 3 tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed.